before we actually get into the software here and talk about like what it is and why you want to use it and how to use it so you understand. Basically, it's an automation tool, and like every other automation tool out there, if you don't know what you're automating, then you're not going to win. And I want you to be successful with this. So let's talk about what a contact form is and scaling it. In fact, it was Bill Gates that said if you scale an inefficient system, then you simply scale the inefficiency. So what a contact form is pretty basic. You go to a website, you want to reach out to the website owner, runner, etc. You click on the contact section, or somehow you find a contact form, you punch in your name, your email, subject, whatever, and you hit submit. You've all done this when you want to reach out to a company. Well, you can also reach out to a company to offer them to buy your product or for guest posting or to present them your offer, whatever your reason for reaching out to them. You can do this, and all that the contact form submitter is doing this for you. So you can go to 1,000 websites or 10,000 websites and do this yourself, or 100,000 websites or a million, but that's going to take a lot of time. What the contact form submitter is doing is just loading the website, filling in this information, and hitting submit. However, there's some moving parts on the back end to make that work and function in an automated way where it makes sense. So let's walk through it. Let's create a new project to start. We'll just call it video test. And once we have our new project, we're immediately presented with the actual settings. I'm just going to click OK so we can see the rest of it, and we'll go back. So I had another project here, and we can save and export, pretty basic. We can start, and we have several functions under that we'll talk about in a minute. Tools. Basically covers settings, importing URLs, renaming the project, basically project tools, which we'll go over. Options is pretty basic. This is just at this time basically your thread setup and your global blacklist. And then help gives you a lot of different things. So you can view the version history, the manual, check for updates, and all that sort of good stuff. I think this is self-explanatory, so I'm not going to cover this. And quit is self-explanatory. It exits the program. So let's go back to the video, and let's start by doing the project settings here, which is you can also get to under tools, but let's do project settings. Under scraping, so this is sort of an all-in-one tool. It will go out there and it'll use your particular keywords, and then it will scrape the search engines, all these down here that it supports: Google, Yahoo, Bing, and all the other whatever else is out there. It scrapes the search engines, gets URLs that might have, so in this case it popped in a keyword for me, but let's say that we're working with cars, right? So it will go out there and search for websites about cars under the scraping section, and then it's going to go and find the contact form, and then it's going to go and post to the contact form. That's the basic concept here. So we get some options to use proxies for search engines. So scraping is the search engine part. You got to put in your keywords, which you can do right here. You can add them, you can edit them, and that sort of thing. Once you put in your keywords, then you need some proxies if you want to use scraping. If you're familiar with scraping of anything in general with Google or Bing or whatever, you generally need proxies, although Bing is very lenient, at least at this time in early 2018. Google is very tight, and that sort of thing. So you can use proxies here for search engines, or you can use proxies for parsing and sending. Parsing is when it goes to the website and looks for the contact form, and sending is when it actually submits the contact form. You generally probably want to use some private proxies to actually do the sending part. The parsing doesn't really matter, but they kind of lump it together here. So private proxies are fine for that. You can use public proxies for the actual search engine part, or private proxies, doesn't matter. However, when you use proxies, to my knowledge here, I haven't messed with this a lot, only had it a brief time, but I don't think you can separate them. So if you have other GSA products, this screen looks really familiar. I don't think that if you put proxies in here that you can set to use public for search engines and like private for parsing sending, at least not at this time. I haven't figured out, but I haven't pushed all of the buttons in here yet, just most of them. So anyways, basically you can set up your proxies, you can add proxies, test them, that sort of thing. You can do proxy sites under options. You have different ones. I'm not going to go over this a lot. This is like the same as GSA's search engine ranker, so you can like check out the forum and read the proxy section there. It's really basic. If you're familiar with all that sort of stuff, great. If not, actually in the members area of my site, contactformmarketing.com, I will go over all of this sort of stuff in more details, but this is kind of a summary video to get the idea of how it works. So once we have proxies set up, we can do filters, URLs that identify contact pages. This is when it's parsing and looking through, so it finds URLs, right? Then it's got to find the contact form. These are URLs words in a URL that would identify a contact form, like if it has the word contact in the URL, and these are anchor texts that might identify an actual contact form. So if you land on a home page and then the program is trying to find the contact us page, which might be like domain.com/contact us, it's going to look for words in the URL and words on a link on the page, the anchor text, to find the contact one. So if you know what you're doing here, great, go with it. Otherwise, just leave it alone. It's already set up. Here is the actual keywords. So this would be our industry keywords or people that we're trying to target. Like if we're working with cars, it'd be cars. If I'm trying to contact real estate agents, I might put real estate agents in here. You should know your keywords. I'm not going to go into how to do keyword research. If you don't have your keywords, that's a whole different video. Pages to parse, this is up to 100. This is in relation to the search engines. So if you have 10 results per page, it's going to parse up to 100 pages, which is 1,000 results. And that's the max that any search engine is going to let you have anyways. If you have your own list of URLs that you already have scraped, and you want to, or you have them because it's your industry leaders, or you got them from Yellow Pages, whatever. So if you have that, you can actually right click here and import those URLs. You don't have to use scraping. In fact, I generally don't. I import my URLs because I already have them. And I'll talk about that more in the members area where I get them lots of places. But you can do this. You can use this. It doesn't have to. So that's the scraping. Speeding up a bit here, filtering is basic. You can accept websites from the following languages and from the following countries. If you only want to work with websites from American Samoa, you can do that. If you only want to work with languages like Akan, you can do that. Maybe I said it wrong. If I did, I'm sorry. URL must contain. You can put this in here if you're looking for specific URLs that you want to work with, or you can put the exclamation point in front of it to actually turn it into a blacklist. So that makes it, if you put an exclamation point in front of it, makes it must not contain, which is super helpful. And also the website must contain or must not contain. If you'll find these along the way. Like I have worked with people actually that in their industry, they wanted to contact government websites because of certain laws that required the government to purchase from X number of suppliers in a given area, and so the government had to purchase from multiple suppliers, so they wanted to reach out to government offices. And I've worked with other businesses, they totally didn't want to reach out to government offices because it wasn't relevant. So like you can put website must not contain, and we can check this here, and we can add, we can just enter it in, and we can just put exclamation.gov, right? So the website can't contain that because it has an exclamation point, or we can put that in the actual URL if we wanted it further down the string, whatever. We can check on the source page itself, and we can actually check on the contact page, meaning the source page is the page that's found. So like if you start with the home page, and then the actual contact page would be the one with the contact form. Some websites put it all on one page. Most websites put a contact us page separately. And so submission content, this is where we kind of get into the meat of it. This is your first name, your company name, your email, that sort of thing. These are the different fields. Again, you can edit these and add fields to these. But other than creating self-defined, which we'll talk about in half a second, you don't really want to go too deep into this. If you don't know what you're doing, you're just starting, because you can also easily foul it up. The good news is if you mess it all up, just create a new project and it starts over, right? And then we can delay, which is really awesome. So some websites, if you like hit the website and submit the contact form, 2 seconds later, they know that a human wasn't typing it. So different contact forms out there may have a mechanism where they just say, okay, it's it's an automation tool or spam or whatever, and they're just going to block it. So if you run into that sort of thing where you're working, or maybe just in general, this could be a good option. Although if you put like a 90-second delay, you're just going to slow the whole process down. So you can experiment, put in a few second delay, or go to a contact form and fill the thing out and time yourself. And if it takes you 15 seconds to fill it out, then put a 15-second delay, right? Makes sense. Here's some information about using Spintax and macros and that sort of thing. Not going into it. If you know what Spintax and macros is, great. If you don't, that's another video. You can record the website form fields. That's for like if you want to train new form fields, right, and new contact forms, you want to record it so you have them to work with, and then you can add them in here and edit ones. Again, I'm not going into that in this video because the basic one's going to be enough to get you started. If you want to use a random list of names, for example, which they already have built into the software, then you can leave this on random name. But let's say that I want to put in here what's going on, right? So I'm going to put in a first name here, and let's say I'm working with, a company, and the sales guy's name is Mark, right? So we're going to put in Mark, and then I'm going to I totally fouled that up actually. Don't change the name field. I'm going to hit cancel. The name field, can't believe I did that. The name field here is the actual saying first name. How to fill this out is you want to go to use self-defined. So we're going to put in Mark as the content. Now you see this self-defined thing pop up with this little edit type thing. If I want to change that later, I just click on this and I get self-defined. If I click somewhere else, like here, it lets me edit, so don't be confused and start punching random things in here. Look at define the field, and then here, right, the actual content. You're looking for that word content. This is a sort of a different kind of box where you can put it in. At this time, you can't load a file, so you just have to paste in your content or type it in, which is fine. And so you're going to put that in there. Last name, I don't care about. It can be a random last name. Actually, let's just change that. I'm going to put in, because I like, let's say the guy's last name. When you click OK here, it gives you this is Wentz. And then come down here. My subject is self-defined, right? So I'm going to put in, hey, just wanted to connect with you, whatever your subject is. In the members area of the contact form marketing side, I go over like what you should put in subjects and what you should put in your actual message and that sort of thing. But again, demo video, we're going to put in, hope you have a great day. Right, whatever. Obviously you put, hey, here's my stuff, buy it, or hey, can I have some links, whatever you're after. And then once that's done, we can look at CAPTCHAs. I already have CAPTCHAs set up. I'm not going to go into how to add CAPTCHAs, but you can add them. There's a ton of sources and whatever. And you can modify them, delete them, test them. I'm just going to, you can test them and you can see your balances and that sort of thing. So that's all working. And then this is the home page to go to the home page of the actual CAPTCHA system here. Click OK. And now we have our project set up, right? So I can save and export, which is export websites only, which is going to be like my list of websites that it scrapes up. And then I should say this too, we should go back here. Also, if you double click on this, it just goes to project settings. If we go back to submission content and let's say you fill this out, you can actually export this and save it, right? So you have like this whole profile filled out. So if you go and like take one project, because it doesn't work, it works differently. If you watch my other stuff, and I don't want to mention other products in this particular video just because of what it is, but if you watch my other stuff, it's different than a lot of the stuff that I do, the programs, because they're not project based. It's more globally based. This is project based. So if I go in here on video test project, right, and I train up a whole bunch of new contact forms for, whatever, right? So I add contact form 1, 2, and 3. 3 new contact forms that I've trained. If I go here to test doesn't get to use those 3 contact forms automatically. So what I'm going to have to do then is go to my submission content. It's not going to be able to use these elements. Also, like if I've modified the contact page words to look to find the contact page, all that sort of stuff here, I can go to export and I can export out this information and then bring it back in. So on the next project, I can go over here and just go to add and import it. And that sort of thing. So I can add and import from clipboard or file here, that sort of thing. But this is actually more like the whole 9 yards kind of thing. Also, I can duplicate the project, right? So pretty nice. That's not necessarily, I'm not trying to say that's bad. I'm trying to say this is how it works. And so basically, once that's done, we need URLs. So let's say I already have a URL, because I do. So let's go to contactformmarketing.com. And I copied it to the clipboard, and I'm going to go here and I'm going to import the URLs. And so what it does is I have to actually edit it and save it in a file. And while I'm doing that, which I think I already have it saved here, it's important to note that you need to use ANSI file format, which is edit this, and I go to File, Save As. In Notepad, I can save, I'm not sure if you can see this here, go the encoding to ANSI. If you're using Unicode or UTF-8 because you're coming from another program, the GSA contact website submitter only supports ANSI. So you need to save it as that, otherwise it's not going to work. It won't recognize your URL. So we'll open that. We can see right here that it has one new URL. We see it down here, website, data found, yada, 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 failed, filtered, that sort of thing. So now we can actually kind of go to start and look at this. This is where we want to scrape for new websites. So if I've set up my scraping, when we set up our scraping in the projects, here we can go start and scrape for new websites and just get a list of websites, and that's all it does. It's one step. Then we can check present websites. That's to find the contact forms. Then we can send the message. That's to send our message. We can do scrape and check, which is find websites and check for contact forms. And then we can do scrape and check and send all of them, obviously. So it'll do everything where get the website, find the contact form, and send it all in one go while you're doing whatever else, going to lunch, whatever. And so, quick note, obviously, is that if you're doing like business to business stuff, right? So if you're a business and you're soliciting another business to like buy your product, personally, I like to do that during business hours because it may or may not, it's probably fine if you do it at 3 o'clock in the morning and run this while you're asleep, but maybe it's better if you just run it minimized or run it on your VPS or whatever, like during business hours, so they get the message and they can respond. And like if they call you up, depending on what you're doing, because I've worked with companies that are actually like doing sales stuff, right? So like they get people to actually call their sales guys in response to this sort of thing. If you're doing a lower end sale, that's a dollar value that's like $30 or something, maybe they're just buying it off your website or something. That could be different. But if you're doing like $700 sale like I'm doing, then you're going to talk to somebody or $1,000 or 2,000, etc. So that was a side note. So anyways, moving on, not make this video forever. Basically, I'm just going to go ahead and click on this, and we'll just do this. I'm not going to scrape for new websites because I already loaded the website. Let's check the website. We can kind of see it. It tells us the status here. And basically it's going to my website right now at contactformmarketing.com here. It's looking for the contact form, so it's waiting for the page to load. Then it's going to scan the whole page and see if it either finds a contact form on that page, or if using one of the words that we put in, or that can be in the URL or one of the anchor texts to find the actual contact form. And so it says ready, contact form successfully found. So it found the contact form. So now let's go start and let's send the message. And it says this is the message. It's giving me like a preview. Remember we put in hope you have a great day. And it gives you a little bit of time to check it out. Yes, continue. Use only selected items. Yes. And so it's busy. It's please wait. So now it is actually posting the contact form. And then I'll show you what it looks like here in a moment. Right, so ready, message successfully sent. So let me pull that up here. So I went ahead and pulled it up in my Outlook here, and what the actual form looks like, that isn't controlled by this program, nor do you have control over it if you just go to a website and put it in. That is controlled by the end user's website. They set that up, so don't worry about like how this looks. Each one is going to be different. They have control over that, not you. But they're going to be used to this because they're going to see it from their other customers too, right? So basically, we have a subject up here, and hey, just wanted to connect with you, and then our actual message, hey, buy our stuff. Hope you had a great day. Basically, that's what happens. Is it comes to their email most of the time, and so that's kind of this in a nutshell. So a couple of things to review and then we're done. We do have options, like if you want to right click, you can actually submit the message manually, right? And it'll populate some form fields which you can put it in, and then send it manually if you want. That might be good to mess around so you understand it. You can actually add this website to the global blacklist. If you get a list of websites here, right, and you've scraped up a list of websites and you're looking through here, and this website, like let's say that you just decide you don't want it because it's maybe you scraped your own website, right? Or maybe you scraped a competitor's website that obviously sells what you're selling and obviously isn't going to buy it, so you can add it to the blacklist, whatever. You can add it to project blacklist or global blacklist. And so we can reset the status. This is useful because right now it's already sent that and it knows it, so it's not going to like send it over and over and over and over and over. So I can reset this. If I hit start and hit send message right now, yes, yes, there are no more URLs to proceed. It knows it's already done this. So if I wanted to send it again, I'd have to hit reset status. Now that's important and useful because, one, if you just go through here and reset the status on all these URLs, you don't want to like hammer these people like 300 times in one day or 1 week or 1 month for that matter. And so we can also remove it, all selected, that sort of thing, based on filtered. Yeah, I'm not going to go over all that. We can select different URLs. Probably can't see that. We can select different URLs based on all, none, toggle, etc. We can import URLs again, and then we can auto scroll when checking and sending. So if I had like 500 domains in here, this would be larger, and so it can auto scroll through them so we can see like the status and that sort of thing. So basically the long and short of it is you can create a project, add lots of filters, scrape up URLs if you don't already have them. Once you have the URLs, you can find the contact forms based on certain criteria, and then you get to control what you're actually sending to those contact forms, as well as CAPTCHA management. My form that we just used didn't have a CAPTCHA, but if you have a CAPTCHA, you'll need CAPTCHA solving software. GSA also has a product for that. I have a discount in the resources section on the contactformmarketing.com for the actual CAPTCHA breaker and software. If you don't already have it, if you have it, fantastic. If you just want to buy CAPTCHA solving services from those CAPTCHA places, and I'm talking about obviously here, if you want to buy, just buy it directly. If you already have it, that's fine too, because that's an important component. The tools section is really just a lot of renaming, deleting, duplicating, and that sort of thing. So nothing really major complicated there. Options section, checking in submission. This is the number of threads or simultaneous connections for checking out the actual website for a contact form and then submitting. You can go higher here. Obviously, you just don't want to kill it, with like 1,000 threads. I don't even know if it'll let you go that high, just because Windows doesn't like that many. I would stay under 200, but whatever. And then actual scraping and search engines. I have other videos, if you watch other stuff on mine about scraping. Sufficient to say, if you put in 200 threads and use 10 proxies, they're all going to get banned. Like if you're using Google, Bing might let you get away with it, but if you're using Google, it's more like 200 proxies and one thread or two threads, right? So this is the global website blacklist as well. If I had a particular domain that I just didn't want to submit to for any of my projects, then I can put it in here. And lastly, basically, is just good to know the version history. I like to go through here. This is kind of odd maybe for some people, but I like to go through here when I click update, because when there's updates, it'll have a green button down here, update available. I like to read the version history because that's how I find out about new features that have come out, and it takes like 60 seconds or 30 seconds to go through and read like the most recent updates, and then find out about new things that, hey, I didn't know it could do this now. That'll make my life a lot easier. Or it can explain some of the new things that you see in the user interface, because I would anticipate that probably a little bit this is going to change